Was Naram-Sin the biblical figure Nimrod? According to the timeline of the Masoretic text, there are many young earth creationists and biblical literalist scholars that believe the Tower of Babel began in 2242 BC, derived from the traditional chronology of Archbishop James Ussher. If this is the case, the Tower of Babel began within the Akkadian Empire during the 12th year of Naram-Sin's reign. The grandson of Sargon the Great, Naram-Sin, deified himself primarily to consolidate imperial power and unify a sprawling empire. Facing numerous regional rebellions and internal threats, deification allowed him to centralize authority and elevate his decrees to sacred unquestionable law. Although his rule didn't begin with only the Mesopotamian cities of Babel, Erech, aka Uruk, Akkad, and Calneh, aka Nippur. As mentioned in Genesis 10:10 concerning Nimrod's kingdom, Naram-Sin did rule these cities, which were the powerhouses of the region, by centralizing imperial control, appointing his sons as regional governors, installing his daughters as high priestesses, and elevating himself to the status of a living god to unify his diverse subjects. The Bible states Nimrod's kingdom began in Shinar and expanding into Assyria. This mirrors the exact territorial expansion of the Akkadian Empire under Naram-Sin. The Bible describes Nimrod as the first empire builder after the flood, who founded and expanded cities across Mesopotamia. This heavily mirrors the expansive reign of Naram-Sin, who extended the Akkadian Empire to its maximum historical limits. The Akkadian Empire is widely considered the first true empire recorded in history. According to ancient Jewish, Christian, and Mesopotamian traditions, Nimrod deified himself. He and his followers promoted the belief that human power, rather than God, was the source of all prosperity, effectively elevating himself to divine status. Some scholars and historians suggest Naram-Sin served as the inspiration for Nimrod. This is because Naram-Sin claimed the title King of the Four Corners of the Universe and was famously deified, making him the ultimate archetype of a prideful, God-defying king in ancient memory. Others align his grandfather, Sargon the Great, with Nimrod, because Sargon was the first major empire builder in Mesopotamian history. The only issue with this view is that Sargon did not deify himself as a god. Scholarly consensus suggests that the biblical figure of Nimrod was not one single historical person, but rather a legendary composite figure inspired by ancient Mesopotamian kings. Many scholars and historians identify Naram-Sin and his grandfather Sargon the Great as primary historical inspirations behind the Nimrod legends. The name of Nimrod is actually a title rather than an actual name. The name is generally derived from the Hebrew verb mered, which means to rebel or to revolt. According to rabbinic literature, Nimrod acquired this name because he allegedly incited the world to rebel against God. Within Genesis 10:9 notes, Nimrod was a mighty hunter before the Lord. While the Hebrew word for mighty gibber could imply strength or heroism, early Jewish interpreters viewed this negatively, translating it as a hunter of men who actively opposed God. In the ancient Near East, hunting fierce wild animals was viewed as the ultimate display of royal authority, equating a king's ability to protect his people with his ability to conquer the untamed natural world. Sargon the Great and Naram-Sin heavily influenced the Mesopotamian region, archetype of kings as fearless hunters and slayers of enemies. Sargon's legendary accounts boasted of 34 victories. His battle strategies were studied by kings for over 1,500 years. Naram-Sin was a legendary military leader who immortalized his conquests, such as his victory over the Lulubi people, on victory steles that depicted him as a divine, invincible warrior, where he is shown wearing the horned helmet previously reserved solely for the gods. Naram-Sin claimed a legendary record of 9 battlefield victories in a single year against a massive coalition of rebel kings who had revolted against his rule. Beyond this specific tally, the king engaged in numerous campaigns that expanded the Akkadian Empire to its peak over his 36-year reign. Naram-Sin not only deified himself, but he also posthumously elevated his grandfather, Sargon the Great, and his uncle, Mana-Tushu, to divine status. By deifying his famous grandfather, Naram-Sin sought to legitimize his own rule, tie his unprecedented claim to divinity to the founder of the Akkadian Empire, and bolster the ideological power of royal dynasty. Naram-Sin initiated official cults and temples that worshipped his deified predecessors, including himself as gods, which heavily influenced later god kings across the ancient world. This model of the divine king resonated in surrounding areas, directly and indirectly paving the way for later religious political ideologies in the ancient Near East and the development of the Egyptian pharaoh's divine status. Scholars suggest that this Mesopotamian institution of deified sovereigns created a paradigm of divine rule that heavily influenced later Greek and Roman ruler cults and divine god kings. According to this information, do you think it's reasonable to suggest that Naram-Sin was the legendary figure Nimrod? Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.